Welcome to the APS Award premiere at the 2020 Virtual Stamp Show. Each year at Stamp Show, we take time to honor those who have given above and beyond to both the hobby and to philately. Please join us in celebrating these individuals. The Nicholas G. Carter Volunteer Recognition Awards. The Nicholas G. Carter Volunteer Recognition Awards honor the outstanding efforts of APS volunteers at the national, regional, and local level, and also recognize our younger members whose contributions and abundant talents are crucial for our future. Carter Award National, Eric Jackson. Eric Jackson began dealing in stamps while in junior high school and has been a full-time dealer specializing in revenue, telegraph, and local post stamps since 1979. Eric has been a member of the American Philatelic Expertising Services and the Philatelic Foundation's expert committees for over 30 years. For the APS, Eric presently serves as dealer representative to the APS board, a role he has held since 2012. He has assisted and co-taught numerous classes for the APS Summer Seminar. Eric served on the American Stamp Dealers Association board from 1998 to 2013, including as president from 2005 to 2009. He also served as an officer of the American Revenue Association for many years, and was its president from 2001 to 2008. Eric served on the World Stamp Show New York 2016 committee as the database and website manager. He is also a member of the State Revenue Society, Collectors Club of New York, U.S. Philatelic Classic Society, Carriers and Local Society, and other philatelic organizations. Eric has shared his expertise since 1980 to the Scott Publishing Company for the U.S. Specialized Revenue section. He is currently working on a new edition of the Springer Catalog of United States Stamp Tax Paid Revenues. Carter Award National, Bobby Leo. Bobby Leo has been the chairman of the APS Translation Committee since 2008 and a volunteer translator since 2003. Over the past 12 years, Bobby has reviewed and processed more than 1,200 requests from members whose items ranged from World War II POW postcards to 18th century letters and various cachets and philatelic articles. With the tireless dedication of 50 volunteer translators, the committee has deciphered and translated the equivalent of 450,000 words during this period. Representing the APS, Bobby was a consultant for the 2014 Pacific Exchange China and U.S. Mail exhibit at the Smithsonian's National Postal Museum. He coordinated and reviewed the translations for the exhibit created by curator Cheryl R. Gams. Carter Award National, Jacques-André Deane. Jacques-André Deane, a topical stamp leader and exhibitor, was president of the American Topical Association for an unprecedented 8 years, from 2008 to 2016. During that tenure, Jack oversaw the hiring of its outstanding staff, Executive Director Vera Feltz and Editor Wayne Youngblood, and led the association in visioning, fundraising, innovations, communications, and its only net membership gain since the 1970s. He created the Buck the Trend Fund, to which members have contributed almost $500,000 in 12 years. He promoted the inclusion of beyond the catalog items in the ATA checklist, initiated the Because You Belong regular email messages sent to members, and created the ATA motto, About the Adventure. In 2014, Jack received the ATA's Distinguished Topical Philatelist Award, its highest honor. As a member of the American Association of Philatelic Exhibitors, Jack wrote 4 articles for its journal, The Philatelic Exhibitor, receiving the Randy L. Neal Award for the best article in 2011 for his article titled Myth-Busting Thematic Rules. In 2018, he edited the ATA Handbook, Topical First, and contributed significantly to the ATA's new handbook, Topical Adventures, to be published in August. He also taught a Topical Collecting 101 course at the APS Summer Seminar on Philately. Jack's primary philatelic topic is the 950-year-old Bayeux Tapestry, which depicts William the Conqueror's invasion of England and victory at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. His Bayeux Tapestry exhibit earned the Association of Philatelic Exhibitors Diamond Award and countless other honors in national and international exhibitions. Carter Award National, Larry Fillion. Larry Fillion has worked in the software field for over 30 years and has worked on hundreds of websites over his career. Significantly, Larry has created and maintained numerous philatelic websites, including the following: the American Association of Philatelic Exhibitors, the Malaria Philatelists International, United Nations Philatelists Incorporated, Society for Costa Rica Collectors, Canal Zone Study Group, the Society of Indochina Philatelists, the Boston 2026, the Institution for Analytical Philately Incorporated, and the France and Colonies Philatelic Society. In addition to serving as webmaster for the above-mentioned websites, Larry has served in multiple leadership positions, including American Association of Philatelic Exhibitors Director, President of the Malaria Philatelists International, and Vice Chairman of the UN Expo 17. Carter Award National, Deane Briggs. Deane Briggs has been active in Florida and national philately for over 40 years. In 1992, he helped reestablish the Florida Postal History Society and was elected president. Over the past 27 years, he has held every officer position for the society and is currently its treasurer. From 1994 to 2008, he served as editor of the Florida Postal History Journal and has written over 225 articles for the journal. His writing credits also include several dozen articles for the Confederate Philatelist and La Posta. Deane was one of the editors of the first edition of Florida Stampless Postal History, 1763 to 1861, as well as co-editor of the second revised and extended edition, Florida Postal History, 1763 to 1861, published in December 2018. Deane has been an active member of the Confederate Stamp Alliance, serving as a trustee, vice president, and most recently president from 2016 to 2020. The Collectors Stamp Alliance published Deane's award-winning book, Florida Postal History During the Civil War, which included a census listing all recorded covers from Florida towns during the Civil War. Deane was also an organizer of the Civil War exhibition and symposium held at the American Philatelic Center from October 24 to October 26 in 2019. The highly successful symposium showcased 125 frames of the finest Union and Confederate exhibits ever assembled. Carter Award National, Charles DiComo. Dr. Charles DiComo is an individual who truly loves his hobby and his local club, the Philatelic Society of Lancaster County, PSLC. Charles is the editor of Chairman's Chatter, the newsletter of the U.S. Philatelic Classic Society, and webmaster of 3 websites, including that of the PSLC, which is a model site for other stamp clubs. At APS Summer Seminar in 2019, he taught an elective on how to use websites for communication and growth. Charles has served for 2 terms as president of the PSLC and began a 3rd term in 2020. Under his leadership, beyond the website's changes, Charles also upgraded the PSLC Stamp Show program booklet, advertising cards, Facebook page, club banner, and even the Christmas dinner program. Charles is the first to arrive and last to leave monthly meetings and annual stamp shows, as he is always ready to set up tables, chairs, and exhibit frames. Beyond these accomplishments, Charles has a strong desire to promote other collectors and clubs. When someone has a philatelic question, Charles will conduct research and then help the asker learn the research methods. He promotes other stamp clubs, if they so desire, by including them on the PSLC website with a page of their scheduled events and an archive for their newsletters. He has also included the local picture postcard club on the site. Carter Award, local, Anthony Bruno. Anthony Tony Bruno has been a serious collector for nearly 40 years and is a tireless promoter of his club, the Thames Stamp Club, based in Waterford, Connecticut, and its annual stamp show, Thamespex, one of only 3 shows left in the state. Tony has been the president of the TSC for the past 12 years and chairman of the show. Tony also serves as president of the United Stamp Societies, which manages a system of circuit books among 31 clubs in the Northeast. He devotes considerable effort towards this system and makes sure that local clubs have circuit books when needed. Tony can be found at virtually every stamp show in the Northeast, helping collectors and dealers enjoy the hobby. He is an active supporter of numerous other philatelic organizations, whether local or national. Outstanding Young Adult Philatelist, Timothy A. Hodge. Tim Hodge has exhibited at national level shows since at least 2005. He was accepted as a Young Philatelic Leader Fellow in 2011 and received a Vermeil for his 10-frame Falconiforms exhibit at APS Stamp Show in 2012. Tim has remained active following his Young Philatelist graduation. He drove from Virginia to attend Stamp Show 2013 in Milwaukee, where he served as a mentor and a volunteer. Later in the year, he attended a leadership retreat with APS and APRL board members at the American Philatelic Center. During 2014, he served as a judge for APS Chapter Activities Committee website competition and staffed the YPLF booth at NAPEX. In July of 2017, Tim accepted a position as a senior editor for the Scott Publishing Company. The American Philatelic Society Kerr Award. The Kerr Award is presented annually by the APS for enduring contributions that help guarantee the future of the hobby. The award is named for life member Ernest A. Kerr. Established in 1991, the Kerr Award recognizes one living philatelist each year who, for a period of at least 5 years, has demonstrated one or more of the following. 1, making philately attractive as a hobby to newcomers. 2, working directly with newcomers, especially young people. And 3, developing and administering programs aimed at recruiting newcomers. Kouri Award, Robert E. Lamb. In 1989, Bob Lamb was elected as a member of the American Philatelic Society's Board of Vice Presidents, but had to resign in service to the United States. In 1990, President George H.W. Bush appointed Bob as ambassador to Cyprus, where he served until 1993. Bob retired from foreign service in 1994 and became executive director of the American Philatelic Society until his retirement in 2006. For more than a decade, Bob served as the chief volunteer for the Stamps in Your Attic program at APS Stamp Show and other World Series of Philately shows. The program aimed to educate people who inherited a stamp collection and empower them to make the correct steps with their collection. Bob taught collecting basics and recruited new members to the APS through the process. Another of Bob's significant contributions is his monthly Worldwide in a Nutshell column, which appears in the American Philatelist. Over the course of his life, Bob has traveled to over 200 countries, seeing firsthand their culture, customs, history, and philately. For nearly 13 years, Bob has taken that knowledge and distilled them into educational columns exploring a country's history, postal system, and philately. In several reader surveys, the Worldwide in a Nutshell column ranks as one of the most valuable columns to appear in the American Philatelist. Bob has also served as a member of the American Topical Association Board of Directors and chair of the ATA fundraising team, which established the ATA's first systematic fundraising program. He also worked with the ATA to launch its online sales program for members to buy and sell stamps affordably. In 2015, the APS awarded Bob the distinction of the APS Distinguished Philatelist, awarded annually at the summer seminar. In 2016, Bob was recognized by the ATA as a Distinguished Philatelist. Bob has been a leader, mentor, and advocate for stamp collecting all around the world. He has brought newcomers to the hobby, helped educate new collectors, and opened the door for many to explore new collecting interests. The United States Stamp Society Barbara Mueller Award. The United States Stamp Society Barbara Mueller Award goes to the author of the best article published in a single year of the American Philatelist, the monthly journal of the American Philatelic Society. The award is named for the United States Stamp Society and for one of its most prominent members, author, editor, and APS life member Barbara R. Mueller. Among her numerous honors and 6 decades of devotion to philately, Mueller was a member of the Hall of Fame of both the United States Stamp Society and the APS Writers Unit number 30, and the recipient of the APS John N. Luff Award for Distinguished Philatelic Research in 1956. In 2007, the United States Stamp Society founded the award to promote the Society, its goals, and its mission to the 28,000 members of the APS, an estimated 75% whom collect UMS material. The United States Stamp Society Barbara Mueller Award, Ken Lawrence. Ken Lawrence is the winner of the 2019 U.S. Stamp Society Barbara Mueller Award for his article titled, "What Items Franked with 1930 Parcel Post Stamps Are Authentic First Day Covers," which appeared in the August 2019 issue of the American Philatelist from pages 708 to 722. In his article, Ken describes every reported example of a tag, wrapper, card, or cover bearing parcel post stamps postmarked or otherwise claimed as having been postmarked January 1st, 1913, the first day of domestic parcel post. The John Walker Scott Dealer Award. Much has been written about John Walter Scott, known as the father of American philately. The catalog he first issued in 1868 remains the hobby standard to this day. He was a founding member of the Collectors Club of New York in 1896 and the American Stamp Dealers Association in 1914. He held numerous positions with the APS and was elected its president in 1917. In 2016, the American Philatelic Society Board of Directors created the Dealer of the Year Award to recognize the vital role that dealers play in the hobby. In the first 2 years, the award was given to James E. Lee of Oak Brook, Illinois, Donald Sunman, president of Mystic Stamp Company, and most recently to Jim Dempsey, A&D Stamp and Coins of Walnut Grove, California. Each of these honorees was recognized for a lifetime of contributions to the hobby. And in February 2020, the APS board voted unanimously that the award should reflect that, renaming it the John Walter Scott Dealer Award. Stanley Richmond. At the age of 8, Stanley took his first stamp off an envelope, and his life in philately began. As a young man, he was already working with icons in the business, such as Robert Siegel, Bernard Harmer, and Warren Colson. He went on to work with Daniel Kelleher, ultimately purchasing the Daniel F. Kelleher Company, the oldest philatelic auction house in service today. Stanley also purchased the Scott Stamp and Coin, founded by John Walter Scott, and the working stock of H.E. Harris and Company. Stanley joined the APS in 1968 and is a life member. He is also in the American Stamp Dealers Association Hall of Fame. Jack Nalbandian. Jack's aunt's letters from France to his mother got Jack collecting at age 10. After getting laid off from a job in 1950, he started stamp dealing to support his family, with a lot of help from his late wife, Margaret. Though he began slowly, Jack opened up a small store and started traveling to stamp shows. Jack joined the APS in 1969 and is a proud life member. Over the years, he and Margaret traveled the world, going on cruises and ballroom dancing together for just shy of 68 years. They raised 3 children together, and today, Jack Nalbandian Stamps is still a family business with his daughter, June, and son-in-law, Bob, managing the business. Jack considers himself blessed with a great life. Richard Champagne. Like many collectors, Richard began collecting at the age of 9, but put it away. Richard entered Cornell University in 1942, but subsequently joined the U.S. Navy to serve in the Pacific during World War II. Following the war, he returned to receive his BA at Cornell and went on to get his MBA at Harvard University. After being offered a pittance for his collection, Richard decided to build a more marketable collection. All these years later, he has a lifetime of collecting wisdom and memories. He joined the APS in 1968 and is a life member today. Richard has provided his expertise to the American Philatelic Expertising Service, the Philatelic Foundation, and the Professional Stamp Experts, and is in the American Stamp Dealers Association Hall of Fame. The American Philatelic Society Hall of Fame. The APS Hall of Fame was established at the 1940 APS convention following the suggestion that outstanding deceased philatelists be honored just as the then newly created APS Luff Award honors outstanding living philatelists. To be elected, APS Hall of Fame nominees must have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of national and international philately. APS Hall of Fame, Sophie Buesser. Sophie Buesser emigrated to the United States in 1922 from her native Switzerland. She married stamp dealer Eddie Buesser, whose family owned and operated a stamp store on Nassau Street in New York City. Buesser was an ardent promoter of Swiss philately. She co-founded the Women's Philatelic Society of New York and the Helvetia Society for Collectors of Switzerland. The American Helvetia Philatelic Society offers the Sophie Buesser Memorial Youth Award at any U.S. show that has at least a two-frame exhibit and an exhibitor 18 years old or younger. APS Hall of Fame, Anne M. Triggle. Anne Triggle was the 2005 Luff Award winner for outstanding service to the American Philatelic Society. Anne was a professor at the University of Buffalo, where she created and ran a pharmacy museum before retiring and moving to Florida. Anne served on the APS Board of Vice Presidents from 2001 through 2003, and as an APS Director at Large from 1997 to 2001. And also served on the board for the Royal Philatelic Society of Canada, served on the committees of the Rochester, New York and Sarasota, Florida National Exhibitions, chaired the APS Awards Committee, and while on the board served as the liaison to all APS committees. However, Anne was probably best known as a national and internationally accredited judge who chaired the Committee for Accreditation of National Exhibitions and Judges. She wrote chapters for 2 editions of the Manual of Philatelic Judging and helped broaden exhibiting to allow display, illustrated, and Cinderella exhibits. And recruited many new judges, and her preparedness and attention to detail was legendary. While she represented the APS on the International Federation of Philately Thematic Commission, her prostitute tax stamp exhibit may have attracted more attention than any of her other exhibits. APS Hall of Fame, George Griffinhagen. George Griffinhagen was a 51-year member of the APS, recognized in 2003 with a Luff Award for exceptional service to philately. George served as president of the American Topical Association from 1976 to 1979, editor of Topical Time from 1992 to 2009, and first vice president of the ATA from 1971 to 1975. He was recognized as ATA Distinguished Philatelist in 1970. George was treasurer of the Council of Philatelic Organizations from 1983 to 1991. He served as secretary-treasurer of the APS Writers Unit number 30 from 1982 to 2013 and was elected to their Hall of Fame in 1998. He wrote several thematic handbooks for the ATA and collaborated on a history and bibliography of topical philately. He also wrote regular columns on pharmaceutical philately in professional journals worldwide. The Thomas F. Allen Award. Thomas Allen ran a successful private law firm in Cleveland after graduating with a Yale Law School degree in 1968, but his first passion was always stamp collecting. Thomas was an expert on Ohio postal history, winning an international gold medal for his Cleveland postal markings exhibit. He also co-authored the book 19th Century Cleveland, Ohio Postal Markings, 1991, served as president of the United States Philatelic Classic Society, and served as president, secretary, and treasurer for many years with the Garfield Perry Stamp Club. The Thomas F. Allen Award was founded in 2013 to promote research and philatelic writing. It is awarded each year by the American Philatelic Research Library to the writer or writers of the best article to appear in the Philatelic Literature Review during the previous year. Past winners have shared new research or knowledge or offered new and relevant discussions to well-studied topics. Thomas F. Allen Award, Anastasios Tassos Kalfas. Tassos Kalfas is the winner of the 2019 Allen Award for his article, The Future of Philatelic Research, Bridging the Gap Between Researchers and Libraries, which appeared in the first quarter issue of the 2019 Philatelic Literature Review. In his article, Tassos proposes a new tool called by the acronym POSTAL, a philatelic online search tool and library, serving as an interactive online platform with three purposes: as a consolidated card catalog, a reference database, and an online community for stamp collectors. Tassos Kalfas is an alumnus of the Young Philatelic Leaders Fellowship Program and currently works as program analyst at the U.S. Postal Service Office of the Inspector General. He has presented at the APS Summer Seminar on the future of Philately and written for the APS website. The Charles J. Peterson Philatelic Literature Life Achievement Award. Charlie Peterson worked with the International Federation of Philately and the American Philatelic Society to turn the idea of a competitive philatelic literature exhibition into a reality, virtually inventing the rule books for how to exhibit and judge philatelic literature. He single-handedly lifted the bar for quality in philatelic publications. Charlie's legacy is that of integrity, scholarship, and the unrelenting desire to advance the collective body of philatelic knowledge, qualities that were recognized in his lifetime with the highest accolades offered in philately: his admission to the role of Distinguished Philatelist and the APS John N. Luff Award, which he was awarded twice. The Charles J. Peterson Award was established 2 years after Peterson's passing in 2009 and is awarded by the American Philatelic Research Library every year to a person who embodies the outstanding legacy that Charlie left behind. Peterson Award winners are notable for their dedicated work to further philatelic knowledge through philatelic literature. Charles J. Patterson Philatelic Literature Life Achievement Award, Anthony Tony S. Wovikevich. Tony Wovikevich is a 50-year member of the APS. He is the winner of multiple awards, including the 2002 Luff Award for Distinguished Philatelic Research, the 1998 American Philatelic Congress Diane D. Bohert Award, the 1999 U.S. Philatelic Classics Society Elliott Perry Cup, the 2001 U.S. Philatelic Classics Society Stanley Ashbrook Cup, and he was inducted into the APS Writers Unit Hall of Fame in 2013. He is the author and co-author of numerous books, including U.S. Domestic Postal Rates, 1872 to 2011, United States International Postal Rates, 1872 to 1996, the forwarding of mail by the U.S. Post Office Department, 1792 to 2001, Canadian Postal Rates and Fees, 1870 to 1999, Great Britain Postal Rates and Fees, 1870 to 1999, the second edition of Commonwealth of Australia, the George V 2-pence die #1 with the 1954 Liberty series with insights into U.S. postal history, 1855 to 2016, and further insights into U.S. postal history, 1794 to 2019. He is presently developing a catalog of New York City auxiliary markings. Tony has written a monthly column for Lynn's Stamp News on modern U.S. postal history since 2004, and since late 2003 has been editor of the newsletter Auxiliary Markings for the Auxiliary Markings Club. He is a philatelic judge emeritus. Most recently, he has facilitated the placement of a fully searchable, freely available government postal history documents onto the website www.uspostalbulletins.com, an APS-hosted website. In addition, the searchable U.S. postal guides, including other supplements, are available at stampstarter.com/learning/postal guide. Outside of Philately, Tony is a retired physician with Northwest Kaiser in Portland, Oregon, where he lives with his wife of 52 years. They have 2 grown daughters and 2 granddaughters.
I am very grateful that I became a philatelic writer, and this talk explains how it happened. My involvement with philatelic research and writing had its beginnings 30 years ago, and it didn't happen overnight. Initially, as far back as my college years, I was never much of a writer. Frankly, at the time, my efforts in this area were not much to look at. My present interest in writing began in 1990 because I was looking for a new collecting area, and as a result, started collecting the 1954 Liberty series. This led me to present a talk at the Oregon Stamp Society about this series usages. During this talk, Henry Beecher, who you probably know, was in the audience. As was his wont, he gently corrected my mistakes and so began to pique my interest in doing more than just collecting the uses of this series. Then, 6 months later, out of the blue, he called me because he had been diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer. But still knowing my interest in uses, asked if I would work with him in his planned domestic and international rates and fees books. What an opportunity, I said to myself. In considering my interest in Liberty sayers, I couldn't say no, and of course said yes. I need to make a point here. As I talked to him, I learned that he had been gathering data since the end of the mid-1970s. It turns out that he'd been researching data at the Postal Service Library in Washington, D.C., and believe it or not, had 19,000 IBM punch cards containing the data. Also, he had been searching for examples of covers for use in his books. Yet, in spite of all these efforts, the work of producing the actual books had gone nowhere. He had made no start. So unfortunately, when he reached out to me, it was too late for him because he was passing. He passed away only 6 months later and still had gotten no further on his books. However, it turned out serendipitously, by choosing me as a partner, he lucked into someone who could make his books and be willing and interested in doing the extensive work needed to produce them. But how did I, with no writing skills, and believe me, that was true, accomplish this? As I look back, I just plowed ahead and started writing chapter after chapter, and then ended up with a useful product. Then I needed pictures of covers to illustrate the books. Fortunately, by the time I needed the images, I went to the APS 1993 stamp show in Houston, where I met the cover dealer, James Forty, and he allowed me to photograph hundreds of covers. I then turned the photographs into halftone images for the books. By 1993, I had finished the 450-page first edition of the domestic book, and by 1996, the 400-page international book. I'm really proud of these two books. By the way, there is now a third edition of the domestic book, as they have been extremely well received by the philatelic community. I have subsequently written four books, each concerned with areas of postal history that I have collected, including, but not limited to, the 54 Liberty series, the forwarding of U.S. mails, the U.S. Dead Letter Office, and uses of the U.S. postage stamps. In 2003, I was honored to be asked to write a monthly column for Lynn's concerned with the uses of modern U.S. postal history. I continue to write this column and recently finished articles to be printed to the end of the year 2020. I've also been the editor of the quarterly newsletter of the Auxiliary Markings Club since 2004. I have been fortunate to have developed as a philatelic writer during the period when there has been incredible development in computer software and hardware. For instance, in 1996, I was able to purchase a scanner for $1,000, one that allowed me at great savings, even though it cost you $1,000, to produce images for subsequent books I've written. Amazingly, one can now purchase such a quality scanner for less than $100, and I've done that. Since the mid-1990s, I've had the software Photoshop, software that easily allows me to manipulate images. This has been especially helpful to me as the editor of the Auxiliary Markings Club newsletter, as the emphasis for this group is on auxiliary markings and enhancers in Photoshop. When I began writing 30 years ago, the software I used was PageMaker. Now I have the use of the even more useful InDesign. And an incredibly important resource that has developed since 1990, and I'm sure everyone out there knows about, is the World Wide Web. When I was doing research at the U.S. Postal Service Library in Washington, D.C., much like Henry did, I came upon the U.S. Postal Bulletins and the U.S. Official Postal Guides. With the help of Australian dealer Michael Eastick, with monetary support from the United States Stamp Society, and with the use of the website of the American Philatelic Society as a host, I was able to place the fully searchable U.S. postal bulletins on the World Wide Web. The postal guides are OCR and are also available only as OCR documents at Don Denman's Stamp Smarter website. I hope to eventually make them available as fully searchable documents on the APS website, but this is still a work in progress. In conclusion, I hope this introduction to my experiences as a philatelic writer, both in the print area and in the digital world, has been informative and somewhat interesting. I certainly am grateful that my endeavors appear to have been of some benefit to the hobby.
Tony Wojciechowicz was nominated for the Peterson Award by Tara Murray. The John N. Luff Awards. Since 1940, the Luff Award has been the most prestigious award that the American Philatelic Society bestows upon living philatelists. The Luff Award was established in memory of John N. Luff, APS president from 1907 to 1909, who is considered the most prominent American philatelist of his era. The award is now in its 80th year. The APS John N. Luff Awards are available annually for the following categories. 1. Distinguished Philatelic Research. 2. Exceptional Contributions to Philately. And 3. Outstanding Service to the American Philatelic Society. The Luff Awards are presented annually during the American Philatelic Society's convention and exhibition. Recipients sign the Luff Award scroll and are presented with engraved rings. The 2020 Luff Award winners will join a distinguished company of 173 prominent philatelists. The Luff Award for Distinguished Philatelic Research. James Peter Goff. James Peter Goff, also known as Jamie, has been a major contributor to philatelic research for nearly 30 years, especially in support of his groundbreaking exhibits. His work has resulted in a number of public presentations, a series of scholarly articles in prestigious journals, and most recently a multi-volume study on the Universal Postal Union. Jamie first started stamp collecting 60 years ago and never stopped. As a young man, he found a home in his local stamp club in Annapolis, Maryland, where he was mentored by a few of the hobby's leading collectors of the time. Early on, his mentors encouraged him to do research for his exhibits and for his articles. Jamie was recruited into the APS by Colonel James T. DeVos after winning the National Youth Championship with his exhibit of Irish postal history. That same year, Jamie published his first article in Lynn's Stamp News. Since then, he has continued to write extensively, including a few of the following noteworthy articles. In the American Philatelist of April 1995, Jamie wrote, "Pay Now or Pay Later, The Evolution of Postage Due Worldwide, 1789 to 1954, which won the 1995 Applebaum Best Article of the Year Award published in the American Philatelist. In 2010, in the Collectors Club Philatelist, Jamie authored The Changing Formulas of the GPU and UPU for Postage Due, Parts 1 to 4, which won the Robert P. Odenweiler Best Article of the Year published in the Collectors Club Philatelist. Jamie has also been honored with the Crawford Medal for Best Book by the Royal Philatelic Society of London in 2020, and also the Lewandowski Medal for Best Postal Stationery Publication from the United Postal Stationery Society in 2020. Knowledge and research are key parts of exhibit creation and evaluation. Jamie's exhibits have been notable for illuminating broad swaths of postal history on a scale never before attempted. The degree of success is attested to by the awards received, the most prestigious of which award for his exhibit, The Evolution and Use of Adhesives for Postage Due, 1790 to 1954. He was awarded the APS Champion of Champions in 1992, the FIP Grand Prix d'Honneur Félix France in 1999, and the FIP Fillion for research for his exhibit Universal Postal Union and its impact on global postal service. He was awarded the APS Champion of Champions in 2013, the Grand Prix d'Exposition of the Americas in 2008, the Grand Prix d'Exposition in Eurofélix in 2015, and FIP Fillions for research. Both exhibits have also been awarded the APS Research Medal numerous times. His other exhibits have been recognized with other special awards for research. Largely due to his pioneering research as presented in articles and exhibit, Jamie was elected to the role of Distinguished Philatelist in 2012 and to the Académie de Philately in France in 2000. Currently, the Royal Philatelic Society London is in the process of publishing the next volumes of Jamie's landmark series titled The Postal History of the Universal Postal Union. The first two volumes, subtitled The Postal Card Worldwide, 1869 to 1974, were published in January 2020. The next volume in the series, Rules, Regulations, and Rates, 1874 to 1974, is underway.
My name is Jamie Goff, and I am this year's recipient of the Luff Award for research. And I want to give a wholehearted thanks to the APS Board of Directors for giving me this honor. The APS has meant a lot to me in my life, as well as, I guess, Philately. It started with the local stamp club, and I got very enthused as I began to study stamps and learn about that, the how, what, and why of stamps being issued. And I got encouraged to do a lot of research. And so as I joined the APS in 1973, I just felt that this was a great environment for sharing research, because in the end, Philately is really a fraternal kind of hobby. We do a lot on our own, but in the end, we want to meet other people and share what we know. And so the great thing about Philately is it's a community. And so I feel really honored that the APS is honoring me with this recognition for my contributions to this community. Also, part of the reason why I think I got the award this year was a book that recently came out. The first two volumes of what is expected to be a multi-volume series on the postal history of the UTU. And this is 1,000 pages, and it's about the postal card. And a lot of people go, postal card, 1,000 pages? I mean, is there really that much to write about? Well, if you really want to know what's going on, the table of contents is available on a website at the Royal Philatelic Society in London, rpsl.org.uk. And this month, they're actually offering a sale on all their books for reduced price of shipping. So if any of you are curious after reading the table of contents, the books are still available, but not expected to be for long. And if you see this, there's a lot of interesting what I call contextual information in the book. And this gives you an idea of the diversity of knowledge that's being brought to bear that we as philatelists are able to pull together and know a lot about the world, its history, its demographics, its economics, everything about the world. One of the things that attracted me to stamp collecting is the fact that philatelists are generally very well-informed and educated people. And so I share my research with you, and I enjoy the fact that so many of you shared your research with me. In fact, I have a recognition in the book for over 250 people who have contributed information or images. So in large measure, I owe this honor to all those people that have been helping me through the last 60 years of collecting when they've shared with me information. And so I thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting many more people that I have not yet been able to meet. Thank you.
James Peter Goff was nominated for the Luff Award for Distinguished Philatelic Research by John Hotchner. The Luff Award for Exceptional Contributions to Philately, Yamil H. Kouri, Jr. Yamil H. Kouri, Jr. is a nationally and internationally acclaimed philatelic judge, also known for his leadership in countless organizations and institutions. His award-winning exhibits, books, monographs, and articles, and his commitment to original philatelic research. Yamil started collecting stamps as a child, peeling the stamps off the envelopes he received from his family in Cuba. He became interested in postal history in the late 1970s and published his first article on postal history in 1982. Since then, he has written close to 180 articles, most of them consisting of original research. His work has covered a wide variety of subjects, but primarily focuses on the maritime and military mail of Spain, former Spanish colonies, Cuba, the United States, and several European countries. His articles have appeared in nearly 20 different philatelic journals. Yamil's first book, The Postal History of Spanish New Orleans, appeared in 2004. Subsequently, he co-authored 3 other books on maritime and colonial postal history and wrote and presented 6 specialized monographs. His latest book, Under 3 Flags, The Postal History of the Spanish-Cuban-American War, was published in early 2020. Yamil's interest in exhibiting began when he was a teenager. He received several large golds with 4 different exhibits at FIP-sponsored international exhibitions. In addition, he is a chief judge in the United States and an accredited international judge in postal history at the FIP level. Yamil is a fellow of the Royal Philatelic Society, London, a numbered member of the Real Académie Hispánica de Philately et Historia Postal, and a member of the European Academy of Philately and the International Postal History Fellowship. He belongs to more than 20 philatelic organizations in the United States, Latin America, and Europe. He is the president of the Postal History Society, a member of the board of the American Philatelic Congress, and chairman of the board of the Spelman Museum of Stamps and Postal History. He is the former president of the Cuban Philatelic Society and past editor of its journal, the Cuban Philatelist. He has served as vice president of the American Philatelic Society and is currently the vice president of the Fédération Interamericana de Philately. Yamil organizes the annual Spelman Museum Postal History Symposium, now in its 7th year, and is vice president of Boston 2026 World Stamp Expo. Yamil's notable philatelic recognitions awarded for exhibiting and writing include the following: the U.S. Philatelic Classics Society's Ashbrook Cup in 2004 and 2019, the U.S. Philatelic Classics Society's Distinguished Philatelist in 2019, the APS Champion of Champions in 2019, and the American Philatelic Congress Walter R. McCoy Award in 2013.
I can't believe that a year ago, at the last stamp show, I thought that from the philatelic standpoint, things could not get any better for me. Well, to quote Yogi Berra, it now feels like deja vu all over again. It is a great honor for me to receive the Loft Award and to join the company of such distinguished group of philatelists and human beings, many of whom have been my mentors, helping to guide my philatelic journey, often being unaware of the influence they had on me. For me, this is the perfect occasion to thank some of the people who helped me get here. To begin with, I have to thank my father, who started me on this path, and my mother, who since I was a young child patiently took me to countless philatelic club meetings and events. Also, I could not have accomplished much of what I've done without the support of my wife, Suzanne, and of my children. I can only imagine how hard it must be for a non-collector to tolerate our passion. There are so many collectors that I admire and I am grateful to that it is impossible to name them all. In recent years, I have been very fortunate to have had the friendship and encouragement of Nancy Clark, Jim Mazepa, Wade Sadi, and the late Leo John Harris. At the local level, I am very proud to be a member of the Waltham Stamp Club and the Spelman Museum of Stamps and Postal History. At the national level, the Cuban Philatelic Society of America has had an enormous impact on my development as a philatelist. At the international level, I am grateful to have so many good friends in the Inter-American Federation of Philately, and more recently, in Mi Oficina Philatelic Society. And of course, I have to thank the hundreds of collectors and exhibitors who have sharpened my skills by raising the level of competition. As I said last year, this is a wonderful community, and I am very proud to be part of it. Lastly, I could have never imagined as a young child living in exile that collecting the tiny colored pieces of paper on letters I received from Cuba, the only connection I had at the time with the country we could not return to, and with the family that was left behind, would eventually become such an important part of my life. Thank you.
Yamil Kouri was nominated for the Luff Award for exceptional contributions to philately by Jim Mazeppa. The Luff Award for outstanding service to the American Philatelic Society. Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant has made a lifelong, sustained, and dedicated contribution to the organizational backbone of Philately. From his lifetime leadership of the local club in Baraboo, Wisconsin, to his steady and thoughtful leadership at various levels of the APS and APRL, Ken is nothing if not reliable. One of the best examples is Ken's recent willingness to step into leadership for the American Philatelic Society Research Library to fill the vacancy created by a sudden resignation. His leadership of the APRL allowed the library to continue its mission to philatelists without interruption. Besides the significant support of the APS and APRL, Ken has served on the APRL Board of Trustees faithfully since 1999, with only a brief gap from this responsibility from 2012 to 2016, when he served as the APS Board Secretary. He has sat on multiple APS and APRL committees, including the United States Stamp Society Mueller Award Committee, the Charles Patterson Award Committee, the Strategic Planning Committees, and more. Ken has demonstrated tremendous dedication to the American Philatelic Society and its missions. One of Ken's best accomplishments involves the American Philatelic Center. He was one of the leaders who signed the initial paperwork to purchase the match factory and was a part of the decision-making process for every phase of construction up to its completion in 2016. Ken is also a proud supporter of the Campaign for Philately from its inception to present, and has served on the committee consistently with only a gap of 2 years. The Campaign for Philately, in its goals of serving the needs of current members, supporting new and future collectors, and promoting the hobby, is well served by Ken's efforts towards the future of philately. When Ken is not working on behalf of the APS, he is highly dedicated to his local stamp clubs and currently edits the Cinderella Stamp Club's publication, The Cinderella Philatelist.
I'd like to thank the members of the American Philatelic Society for this award, recognizing my service to the APS. When I ran for the APRL board in 1999, I thought I had little chance of being elected, the other candidates being so distinguished, and I having little experience beyond my local stamp club. When Bob Lamb, then the executive director, called to let me know I had a spot on the board, we were both surprised. Shortly after my election, I visited State College in Belfont, where Bob Lamb formally welcomed me to the APS family. On that first trip, I got my introduction to the cramped headquarters building in State College and the huge match factory complex in Belfont. In the 20 years I have served on APS and APRL boards and committees, I've come to know and appreciate that APS family well, and gotten to see that 19th century match factory turned into the amazing American Philatelic Center, a headquarters of which we can be proud. Serving on boards and committees isn't always fun, but playing a small part in the progress of our society is certainly rewarding. For a hobby that is widely considered a solitary activity, Philately has opened up many social opportunities and given me the chance to develop many friendships. I've attended 2 decades of APS summer and winter shows, and during that time, I've watched hundreds of members receive their 25-year pins and 50-year medals. They and the other folks who attend these shows have become my extended APS family. There are opportunities to connect with fellow collectors before, during, and after the shows. For example, Yamil, Kouri, who is being recognized with a Luff Award this year as well, is my running partner at shows. Most mornings before the sun is up, we hit the streets. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Hartford, we've covered a lot of distance even before the show doors open. If you take a stroll down the show aisles, you can see that philately is anything but solitary, and that one of the roles of the APS is fostering friendships and links between collectors. I've discovered that even when I am at an airport waiting for my flight home, the chances are that I will have the companionship of a fellow APS member. The APS family is a huge one. If I could offer one word of advice to APS members, it would be to become more involved in organized philately by volunteering your service to the society. I would not have sought election, volunteered for committee service, or really accomplished much of anything without my spouse Mary's generous support and encouragement. Time spent with the APS family has meant time away from my veritable Wisconsin family. Over the years, Mary has helped me meet my board responsibilities and has given me consistent good counsel. This Luff Award is as much hers as mine, and I thank her as well as the APS family for this honor.
Ken Grant was nominated for the Luff Award Outstanding Service to the American Philatelic Society by John Parr and Wayne Youngblood. On behalf of the American Philatelic Society, we want to thank all of this year's award recipients for their contribution to the hobby and to Philately as part of this award's premiere at the 2020 Virtual Stamp Show.